My name's Ava, and I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who doubted her husband. Especially not over someone like her. But life has a twisted sense of humor, doesn't it? Before we get into the sweet part, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. If you're watching us for the first time, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss any new story. Liam and I have been together for 5 years, married for 2. He's charming, dependable, funny in that dry way only British guys can pull off. And until recently, I thought he had a clear sense of boundaries. Turns out I might have given him too much credit. Let me back up a little. A few months ago, Liam's best friend Mason came back into town after years of working overseas. We were both excited, Liam because Mason was basically his brother, and me because I'd heard so much about him that I felt like I already knew the guy. But what Liam failed to mention, or at least what he completely glossed over, was that Mason wasn't coming back alone. He was bringing his little sister Zoe. Now, I'd heard Liam mention Zoe a few times before in passing. He said she was sweet and really driven and had a knack for getting whatever she wanted. But that was it. No red flags, no warnings. Just casual mentions. So imagine my surprise when I opened the door one afternoon to see a tall, stunning woman with sleek dark hair, skin like porcelain, and the confidence of someone who's never been told no in her life, standing next to Mason. "This is Zoe," Mason said, grinning. "Remember her?" Zoe smiled, tilted her head, and said, "Wow, Liam never mentioned how beautiful you are, Ava." My gut twisted now. I'm not the jealous type. Really? I'm not. I've never been the kind of woman to snoop through phones or grill Liam about where he's been. I trust people until they give me a reason not to. But the way Zoe looked at Liam, like she was sharing some kind of inside joke, only they understood, set off something in my chest. From that point on, things began to shift. Subtly at first, Zoe started showing up everywhere. If Liam and I made plans for a casual dinner, somehow Mason and Zoe would tag along. If Liam and I were binge-watching a series, Zoe would accidentally drop by with wine, acting surprised we hadn't invited her. And Liam, he never seemed to mind. In fact, he lit up every time she walked into the room. He laughed louder, leaned in closer and started making little comments like, "That's just classic Zoe," as if I was supposed to be in on some joke from their shared past. I tried brushing it off. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was imagining the flicker in Liam's eyes when Zoe laughed, or the way he stood, a little straighter when she entered the room. But the straw that broke me came one Saturday evening. We had plans to go to this new Italian restaurant in town, just the two of us. I'd been looking forward to it all week. I even wore that burgundy dress Liam always complimented. When he saw me, he gave me that slow once-over and smiled. But then his phone buzzed. "It's Zoe," he muttered. I sighed, already knowing what was coming. She's having car trouble and stuck on her way to Mason's. "You don't mind if we swing by real quick and help her, do you?" Of course, I minded. But what was I supposed to say? We found Zoe standing next to her perfectly parked car, tapping her phone and looking irritated. Liam jumped out, all concerned. "What's wrong?" She blinked innocently. I thought that engine was making a weird noise. But maybe I'm just being paranoid. I stared at her, speechless. She wasn't even pretending to be stuck. And Liam, he didn't say a word. He popped the hood, fiddled with it for a while, then turned to me and said, "Why don't we reschedule dinner? I think Zoe's nervous something might be wrong, and I want to make sure she's safe." That night, I sat at home alone, still, wearing that stupid burgundy dress, wondering when my marriage had become this 3-person circus. It wasn't just the dinner. It was the buildup of little moments, like how Liam's phone would light up with Zoe's name at 11 p.m. and he'd step outside to take the call. Or how he suddenly started mentioning how independent and sharp she was when talking about his day. Or how she posted a photo of them laughing together at brunch on Instagram, while I was home thinking he was at work. Still, I didn't confront him. I didn't want to seem crazy or controlling. I kept telling myself, it's just a close friendship. She's his best friend's sister. You're overthinking it. But deep down, I knew. The real tipping point came one rainy Tuesday evening. Liam had forgotten his work bag at home, and I figured I'd surprise him at the office. I packed his favorite takeout, grabbed the bag, and drove over in the storm. When I got to the building, I saw Liam's car parked outside and Zoe's. My heart sank. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe she was just dropping something off. But when I walked into the office, everything in me froze. The lights in his office were dim, and through the slightly cracked door, I saw Liam sitting on his desk, Zoe between his knees, laughing. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. It wasn't a kiss. It wasn't anything you could pin as obviously inappropriate. But it was intimate. Way too intimate. They didn't even notice me. I stood there, clutching his bag and a soggy brown paper bag of takeout, wondering how I got here. How did the man who once looked at me like I was his entire world now look at another woman like she held his soul in her hands? I backed away, heart pounding, left the bag at reception, and drove home in the rain. Windshield wipers screaming across the glass. He never mentioned that Zoe was at his office that night. Never brought it up. Just came home later and kissed my cheek like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. At least for me. Now I'm here, sitting at our kitchen table, staring at my untouched coffee, and asking myself the question I've avoided for weeks. Is this emotional cheating? Or, worse, has it already crossed the line? I know one thing for sure. I can't ignore it anymore. It's funny how the silence between two people in love can be louder than any fight. After that night at Liam's office, everything in me wanted to scream, to throw things, to confront him and demand answers. But instead, I did nothing. I sat in bed when he came home, pretended to be asleep, and when he kissed my forehead like he always did, I wanted to cry. Not because of what he'd done, but because of how easily he did it. The next morning, I made eggs like I always do, toasted his favorite sourdough, poured his black coffee. It felt mechanical, like I was playing house with a stranger. Liam walked in like it was any other day, kissed my cheek, and sat down with a casual, "Thanks, babe." I watched him take a bite of his eggs and my throat tightened. "Hey," I said softly, almost testing my voice. He glanced up. "Yeah, was Zoe at your office yesterday?" He paused for just a beat. "Oh, yeah, she dropped by. Had some questions about her resume. Needed help fine-tuning it." I nodded slowly, watching his face. No mention of the laughter. No mention of her standing between his knees, brushing her hand against his chest like she belonged there. "And that's all?" I asked. Liam raised an eyebrow, amused. "That's all. What else would it be?" I shrugged, forcing a smile. "Nothing. Just wondering." But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. I think that's when I realized the damage wasn't just what Liam was doing. It was how icily he pretended it wasn't happening for the next few days. I kept watching quietly. Closely. Zoe was still around, of course. She texted Liam constantly, inside jokes, random memes, updates on her day. I knew this because I started checking his phone when he left it charging in the kitchen. I hated that I was becoming this person. The check his messages when he's in the shower, wife. The scroll through his search history when he's asleep, woman. But when the truth is being hidden from you, you start looking for clues in the smallest cracks. One night, I found a thread between them that made my stomach flip. Zoe. Ugh. I can't talk to anyone the way I talk to you, Liam. You know I'm always here. You get me. Zoe. I wish I had someone like you, Liam. You do. The last message had a winking emoji. I stared at it for what felt like hours. What did that mean? Was it harmless flirting? Was it just them being close? Or was I watching my marriage slowly being replaced with a connection I wasn't part of? The next morning, I told my best friend Harper everything. Over lattes at our usual cafe, I finally broke down. "I don't even know if he's sleeping with her," I whispered. "But honestly, I don't know if that even matters at this point. It feels like she's taken my place in his life." Harper frowned. "This is emotional cheating, Ava. Even if he hasn't kissed her, he's crossing lines. And you're not crazy for feeling like this." I sighed. "He just keeps saying she's like a little sister." Harper rolled her eyes. "Then he's way too cozy with his little sister." I left that cafe feeling validated, but also more terrified. Because now I couldn't hide behind denial. Now, I had to face it that evening. I decided I was going to talk to Liam. Really talk. I planned the whole conversation in my head. I'd stay calm. I'd ask questions. I'd explain how I felt without sounding accusatory. I'd be mature, composed, direct. But of course, life doesn't care about your plans. He came home late again. When I asked why, he said he was helping Zoe rehearse for a job interview. At her apartment until 10:45 p.m.? I asked, trying to sound casual. He shrugged. Time got away from us. That was it. No apology. No awareness that what he was doing might be affecting me. I followed him to the bedroom. "Can we talk?" He froze a little. "Sure, about what?" I sat on the edge of the bed, hands clenched in my lap. "About Zoe, about us." His face tightened. "Ava, if this is about you being jealous again, I'm not jealous." I cut in, my voice sharper than I intended. "I'm confused. You spend more time with her than you do with me. You talk to her constantly. She's always around Liam, always. She's Mason's sister," he said defensively, "and she's going through a lot right now. So are we," I snapped. "Or have you not noticed how far apart we've gotten?" He looked away. I took a deep breath, softening my voice. "I'm not trying to start a fight. I need to know what this is between you and her, because it doesn't feel innocent anymore. Liam rubbed his face. Look, Zoe and I just connect. We've always had that vibe. She's funny, she gets my humor, and she's been around since I was a teenager. It's not about replacing you. Then why does it feel like it? I whispered. He didn't answer, and that silence hurt more than if he'd shouted at me eventually. He said, "You're overthinking it. Maybe you're just bored. Maybe you need something else to focus on besides my friendships." My jaw dropped. Are you serious right now? I'm not doing anything wrong, Ava. You're just making it something it's not. And just like that, he turned off the light and got into bed, like nothing happened. I lay there in the dark, wide awake, listening to his breathing slow into sleep. He didn't reassure me. He didn't say I had nothing to worry about. He didn't hold me and tell me I was enough. He just shut it all down and walked away from the conversation like he always does. That was the moment I realized something I'd been afraid to admit. Liam didn't want to save this. He wanted to avoid it. He didn't want to lose Zoe, but he didn't want to lose me either. So he was hoping I'd just stay quiet, pretend I didn't see what was happening, and continue being the loyal wife while he emotionally drifted into another woman's arms. But I'm not that woman. I won't be. The next morning, I woke up before him and left the house. I needed space to think, to breathe, to figure out what the hell I was going to do next. I couldn't keep living in limbo, caught between what I thought my marriage was and what it was becoming. I found myself parked outside a therapist's office. I don't even remember driving there. I just knew I needed help from someone who wasn't inside this mess with me. Later that day, I called Harper again and told her, I'm not leaving him. Not yet, but I'm going to start preparing myself for whatever comes next. Because even if Liam wasn't ready to face the truth, I finally was, and it was time I started choosing myself, even if he didn't. I wasn't expecting the aftermath to feel so quiet. After the disastrous dinner, I spent the next day curled up on the couch, replaying every second of what happened. The way Isaac laughed, the way Judith, his mother, looked at me like I didn't belong. Her words kept echoing in my head. You people can be so intense. And the way Isaac brushed it off. That was the part I couldn't shake. I wanted to believe that maybe he just didn't know how to react, that maybe he was uncomfortable too. But the truth, it didn't seem like discomfort. It felt like indifference. Like he was used to her saying things like that. That afternoon, Isaac came home with coffee and one of those awkward half smiles. Hey, he said, like nothing was wrong. Rough night, huh? I didn't respond right away. He handed me the coffee. I took it mostly out of habit and stared at the foam heart swirling on top. He sat next to me, stretching his arm across the back of the couch. So, I know my mom can be a lot, he said slowly, like he was trying to downplay it. I turned. To him, Isaac a lot is forgetting someone's name or talking too much. What she said was racist. He blinked. Whoa, I don't think she meant it like that. There's no other way to mean it, he shifted, pulling his hand back. Okay. Maybe it came out wrong, but she's old school. You know how some people are, they don't get all the politically correct stuff. I scoffed. Politically correct? Are you kidding me? This isn't about being PC. It's about basic respect. Isaac sighed, rubbing his face. Can we not make this a huge thing? It's not like she hurled slurs at you. I stared at him in disbelief. Wow, so unless she uses explicit slurs, it doesn't count. No, I'm just saying, look, I love you. I do, but my mom's important to me too. I'm just trying to keep the peace. I wanted to scream, keep the peace, by pretending nothing happened. Isaac, keeping the peace at the expense of my dignity is not love. That hit him. He looked at me like I had just slapped him, and maybe in a way I had. I need you to back me up, I said quietly. Not excuse her, not laugh it off. Just stand up for me. Say something. He stood, pacing now. I didn't want to make it worse. If I confront her, it's going to be a whole thing. She'll cry, she'll play the victim. So I get to be the target to keep her comfortable. Silence. And in that silence, I felt everything shift. My love for him was still there, but it was bruised now. Not broken, not yet, but bruised. Later that evening, I got a message from Kayla, Isaac's sister. She had been there at dinner too, but hadn't said much. Her message was short. Hey, just wanted to say I'm sorry for last night. That wasn't okay. I didn't speak up, and I should have. You didn't deserve that. I stared at the screen, tears welling up. That tiny acknowledgement, it meant the world. I replied, thanking her, and asked if she'd ever seen Judith act like that before. Her response? Yeah, she has a history. My last boyfriend was Latino, and she made comments about spicy food and loud families. I let it slide too many times. Please don't think we all feel that way. I didn't know what to do with that. Part of me was grateful for the honesty. The other part was furious that this was a pattern, that Isaac knew and still didn't think it was serious. The next few days were tense. We barely spoke. I went to work, came home, and avoided confrontation like it was a full-time job, but it was eating me alive. This was my relationship. This was supposed to be the safe place. One night, I found Isaac scrolling on his phone in bed, acting like everything was fine. I can't keep doing this, I said suddenly. He looked up. Doing what? This? Pretending it's okay? That, I'm okay. He put the phone down. Look, I talked to my mom. I perked up slightly. You did? Yeah. I told her that what she said upset you. She said she didn't mean it like that and that you're too sensitive. There it was. I blinked. And what did you say to that? He paused. I told her she should probably apologize, but you know how she is. I sat up. So basically nothing changed. She's not going to change overnight. I wanted to scream, Isaac. This isn't about her changing. This is about you choosing to stand with me. And right now you're standing behind her. That night I didn't sleep. The next morning I packed a bag. Not because I was leaving for good, but because I needed space. I needed to breathe. Isaac watched me, confused. Where are you going? To Kayla's, I said. I need time to think. Seriously? Over this? That sentence broke something in me. Double quotes. Yes, seriously. Because if you think this is small, we're on very different pages. He didn't fight it. Just nodded, lips pressed in a line. At Kayla's apartment. She welcomed me in with open arms. You're doing the right thing, she said softly. For what it's worth, I've been where you are. We sat on her balcony. That night, two women bonded by the silent weight of things people don't say out loud. Do you still talk to your mom? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, but with boundaries. Took me a long time to find them. I sipped my wine and stared into the city lights. Do you think Isaac can change? She was quiet for a beat. Then, only if he wants to. And that was the hard truth. I didn't want Isaac to be perfect. I didn't expect him to magically undo years of family conditioning, but I did want him to try, to see me, to protect me even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then. Over the next few days, Isaac texted short messages. I miss you. Let's talk. Please come home. But I didn't go back. Not yet. This is because, right now, he wasn't showing up in the way I needed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more of these stories.